Welcome to show your parents the PTA and the asleep don't want you to hear, the Helios blog. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys, but on Piers Morgan, we're going to learn about Liam Payne's death from One Direction. Let's go.
The reason she's alone is because she's difficult.
Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Women fuck men they respect.
All the women who say things like, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, like, y'all impress me.
Women just gaslight each other and say what they want to hear.
Including cocaine, crack, and benzodiazepine.
This is not a talent thing. In fact, Liam, if he came to a talent thing, his outcome was great.
I don't need to play into this. I'm here to speak about the tragic loss of our dear friend Liam. Thank you very much.
This is what Liam actually sent to you. Piers, you're only here because you talk shit about everyone and make controversial outbursts about people to get attention.
Okay.
What?
When these people are becoming famous and they're getting the money that they want, but when you have the dark side of fame, that suddenly becomes everyone else's fault.
But if you didn't want to do the interview, you shouldn't have done it.
Well, do you know what? I said no initially, but...
well, you're here now, aren't you? You managed to force yourself once again to do something you don't want to do.
Amazing.
Years before his tragic death, Liam Payne reportedly said, I used to be in a boy band. That's why I'm so messed up. Inevitably, there's been a lot of soul-searching about the music industry, about young stars, and about talent shows. Former X Factor judge sheryl said the industry failed Liam Payne and needs reform. Guy Chambers, who wrote many of Robbie Williams' biggest hits, questioned whether minors should be allowed to sign for boy bands at all. Some even say it's time to ban shows like X Factor and America's Got Talent.
No way. What?
Altogether. The part that many people are reluctant to say out loud is that fame brings not only risk, but also massive opportunity and privilege.
Right.
The world of money, luxury, and untold adulation is often inseparable from drugs, intrusion, and the eventual fall from grace.
Yeah, it's why you can't get famous when you're young. If you do, you won't be able to handle it because you've never known a life of hardship, right?
Seen it so many times. Is it a risk that society should continue to take with its brightest stars? Well, in a moment, I'll be joined by Katie Waisel, who's the British singer-songwriter who auditioned alongside Payne on the 2010 series of X Factor and is currently suing Simon Cowell's record company for an alleged breach of duty of care.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Crack will be with me, DJ and comedian.
Sounds like bullshit, to be honest, but here we go.
James Barr, who knew Liam. And up first, the current judge on America's Got Talent, my former colleague on that show, and Canada's Got Talent, Howie Mandel. Howie, thank you so much for joining me. I've got to say that
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Like everyone, I was devastated to see this news about Liam Payne, 31 years old. It's
31.
An absolutely shocking
Terrible
tragedy that he's dead. We don't know, and it's very important to stress.
Also, rest in peace, Mac Miller.
This. We do not know yet whether he died accidentally, whether he took his own life, or what may have contributed to his death. That's not been established yet. So I think it's very important to have that on the record at the start before we start going down the rabbit holes of assumption here. But in relation to your time, long time now, of being a judge on a talent show where so many young people come on and they try their luck and they're looking for fame and fortune, as they all are, and some make it and most don't. What do you feel about this issue about the duty of care towards them?
See, the duty of care for me doesn't come from these production companies or these shows. The duty of care comes from humanity. And I don't know that people know me there, but
very noble.
My soapbox, aside from being a judge and a comedian and whatever, is mental health. And I think mental health is paramount. You know, and
right, because Howie has OCD. He has a big problem with OCD and cleanliness, as far as I remember.
I always say I wish people would take care of their mental health the way they take care of their dental health. You know, regardless, when you have a child, regardless of them being in pain, you take them to the dentist once a year to get their teeth cleaned or get checked, and you go, look, Mom, no cavities. But there isn't anything in place in our curriculum of life to check in professionally with somebody's mental health. So I think this is, and
well, I don't know if that's such a good idea because, again, the psychotherapists, right? At least in 2024, they're all like womanists, right? Or at least, you know, if Jordan Peterson has anything to say about it, they're womanized. And so because they're womanized, they tend to lead the people that they therapize down these womanist, wokist paths, right? Rather than helping them, they kind of just brainwash them into being woke. So I don't know if that's the best, especially if you put children in there, children that are very mentally malleable. Seems dangerous to me.
Even insurance companies, at least here in America, don't parody. If you see somebody with a broken leg, they'll take care of you. If somebody's hearing voices, unless you could see it on an x-ray, you probably won't get the same funds or help or professionalism to take care of that. So my thing is, you know, listen, I've been open. I struggle with mental health. As I talked to you today, I'm heavily medicated, and I've been going to therapy for years, and I have OCD and depression and anxiety. Here's what we do know. Liam, we don't know whether he jumped. We knew that he was suffering an episode.
So that means that, what? Something is fundamentally wrong with the way that how he approaches the world, and dare I say, we can look at his right hand and see that he's probably a wokist, right? So he, somewhere down the path, he was led astray in his life.
We know that he was having trouble in the lobby, and whether it was because he was on some substance, and whether, regardless of what it was, that is a mental health issue. It's harder to deal with mental health. There's always a stigma involved publicly. It's harder if you are known and you're a celebrity. You know, it adds more pressure to the fact of trying to deal with whatever you're dealing with. And maybe when you are a little bit fragile to be in show business, whether it's on a talent show or not, you know, life is filled with rejection. And
Indeed.
Life is really hard. And under the
Yep.
spotlight, it's even harder. I think what we need to do in this world is recognize mental health and recognize, you know, and I would imagine this is the same in the UK.
Again, if we have like an institutionalized culture of positive, strong masculinity, I think it'll prevent a lot of these problems, to be honest. Again, this womanized crap, I don't think is the solution. That Howie's talking about. Oh, just hug each other and sing Kumbaya, just acknowledge mental health and hug it out, and that's not the fundamental solution. Strong father figure, strong family unit, strong family bonds, you know, encouraging the right kinds of connection between people. I believe that would be the ultimate solution. A return to, you know, our human values, as it were.
If somebody fell down on the sidewalk in front of you and they fell and smashed their head open on a curb and there was blood everywhere, somebody would call 911 and you'd go cart them off to a hospital and get them taken care of. If somebody is walking down the street screaming weird things, you avoid them. You don't make eye contact. Well, mental health is the same sort of, that's your health. Because you don't see them bleeding, because you don't see a broken bone, and this is rampant. It's rampant in our society. That's our problem. If we took care of our mental health, we would have world peace. We would be more
well,
we would be a better, happier community.
Again, Howie's like very idealistic, right? Again, just the mark of a privileged person, right? A person that has never really had to deal with reality. Really. Oh, you're depressed and have anxiety and have OCD, and yet you're a multimillionaire with multiple children living in a comfortable existence, but your own mind, you know, attacks you. But that the nature of your mind being that like nitpicky type person to the extreme, literally to a fault, is what has given you that success and privilege that you can then complain about, right? If you had to worry about chopping wood so that, you know, you don't die in the winter, you'd never have OCD or whatever, right? Or, you know, better milk the cows, because if I'm not milking the cows, I literally don't eat today. You wouldn't have any mental health problems. You see? You'd be too busy doing what you need to actually do to survive. Anyway.
Just on
I digress.
And I think that show business shines a light on it. And if anything positive could come out of this tragedy, it's the fact that somebody out there who is suffering can realize that they're not alone. And even somebody who has money and fame and opportunity is suffering like that person who has nobody and nothing in their lives. And maybe you won't feel that uncomfortable speaking out to somebody, and whether that somebody is a family member, a coworker, a partner, a caregiver.
This girl here, the third one, look at her expression. She disagrees totally. Also, note the tattoo on her pinky finger. Totally not a red flag, guys. It'll be fine. She totally won't be a wokest womanist who's unable to take responsibility. She'll be fine.
We just have to continue to talk about it, and even you doing this segment is an incredible service to humanity.
Well, it's interesting, you know, because I've been listening to what you've been saying. You and I have talked about this privately when we were together, and I know how much you care about this issue. But both of the other guests who were watching you, Katie Waisel and James Barr here, both of them were shaking their heads. So, Katie, let me start with you. Why were you irritated or disagreed with what Harry was saying there?
Here we go.
Well, hi. It's under very tragic circumstances. Thank you for inviting me on here, and Howie, it's nice to see you. It's incredibly frustrating because first and foremost, Piers, much like you said in the very beginning, it's incredibly important to not make any speculations as to what happened and with Liam, and you know, with the utmost respect in that instance. However, with Howie understandably diverted.
So she's what? Muddying the waters, I believe, here, and sounds like gobbledygook, but let's see what she has to say.
The attention, and I know that the essence of mental health and so on and so forth is slightly different in LA or you know, America compared to the UK, is that the shows do have a legal and moral duty of care to those that are participating on it, and I agree with Howie in terms of...
So what, 30 years, or what, 20 years later you can sue the show? Is that the crap she's talking about?
From a mental health standpoint, you're right, you can't...
She's just trying to get money out of it.
Actually
for herself, solipsist.
See it physically, but... and there should be more awareness around mental health, full stop. However, when it comes to participants on those types of shows, myself of which I was in 2010, there is a legal and moral duty of care which should be upheld.
I think I understand what's happening here. She's irrelevant now, and so she's trying to be relevant by suing and being on this show. Understood.
And it's
attention seeker.
I mean, there is, but as I'm talking to you, there's a AB News report.
But can I say something? Can I say something?
Well,
you know, you're focusing, and that's because of Liam, you're focusing on show business. The truth of the matter is, we all have a moral and legal duty to take care of those people that we come across in life. And whether you're working at a bank, and
I disagree.
Mental health is absolutely correct, and I stand by everything you said about mental health. But it's what you didn't say that I think is the issue here. You diverted attention away from the shows that are payrolling. You're on the payroll. Your answer sounded like something Simon Cowell had emailed to you.
Okay, that's bullshit.
It's a ridiculous thing to say.
I think you're just trying to make good.
You have to be aware that the showbiz industry, the entertainment industry, and the shows you work for are also responsible. We're all responsible for the mental health.
No, kiddo. Who's purposely... Is he wearing makeup to make himself look like he's been crying? Anyway.
Other people.
But hang on, okay, hang on 1 second.
Well,
hang on 1 second, Harry.
Can I just say something?
Well, let me just make... I want to bring in a fact. I want to bring in a fact which is just broken while we've been talking. So AB News reporting a partial autopsy has found that Liam Payne had substances including cocaine, crack, and benzodiazepine, which is a type of depressant, before he fell, right? Again, we don't know
but
why
that is not a surprise.
So, yeah, so we saw the...
That is not a surprise.
We
Liam
saw evidence of drugs in the hotel room. We saw evidence of that he'd been smashing televisions and laptops and so on. So clearly, something very bad was happening.
He's having a psychotic break, maybe.
Clearly, drugs were playing a part in it. I mean, in relation...
Yeah,
Howie, in relation to that, I mean, look, I work...
Sounds like psychosis. That can happen if you're overstimulated, if you take too many stimulants.
With you on America's Got Talent. I work with Simon on Britain's Got Talent. I have to say, and I'm not saying this because I'm a friend of Simon's, although I am, that in all my time working with him and his team, they did take duty of care to contestants very seriously. They just
Hang on a minute.
Simon.
I have to interject here, and let me.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Solipsis time. I, who am special and different, I wasn't treated with duty of care, therefore I'm suing. Here we go.
I think your other two. Okay.
Harry, go on.
Your other two guests, I don't agree with.
Let Harry speak, please. Harry?
Can I just speak? I don't agree with your other two guests at all. Here's how I feel. First of all, we do take care of people's mental health. I don't know that people know it, and I know that with the Got Talent.
You want me to show you the receipt?
With the Got Talent, I'm there. Can you, you know what?
Mute the frickin' girl, man. Mute her.
If you're not going to listen, then.
Well, I think a contestant on the show should perhaps
She
can have her chance to respond, but let
staff.
Harry say what he wants to say. There's been a charge against him. He doesn't care.
We do have psychologists.
Harry.
Can I just respond? We have psychologists on staff. When people feel that, when we feel that something, and I know they do it on all the Got Talent, even around the world, and at BGT also, if we feel that somebody is going south a little bit, there is somebody there to talk to them, and we do watch over them. But here's my point. This is not a talent thing. In fact, Liam, if he came to a talent thing, his outcome was great. The people who are rejected have the harder time. The point that I'm making is Liam talked publicly about his mental health and his drug addiction and problems years and years ago. And the reason show business puts a light on it is if you have a manager at the bank that is putting too much pressure on you and wants you to produce, no matter if you're at the bank, if you're in construction, if you have a lot of kids and you can't handle it and you have or you break up, people around you have to be compassionate and take care of you. And the fact that there's a spotlight on television, it doesn't happen more. Just like marriages don't break up more on television
But
stars and movie stars
but Harry,
than they do at the bank.
Yeah, Harry, let me bring in, Katie, you can respond to that. I mean, what I would say, though, about Liam, who I didn't know very well. I know some of the other members of the band, One Direction, much better. Niall is a good friend of mine and so on. Clearly, Niall and Harry Styles and Louis, they've all built incredibly successful solo careers. I've covered many boy bands over the years where some of them end up doing a lot better than the others when they go solo. At what point does Simon Cowell or the team on X Factor 15, 16 years ago have an ongoing duty of care to someone like Liam, who's now 31,
Indeed,
leading his own life, no longer been working for them for a very long period of time? At what point do you have a duty of care that moves on from there?
And yet these shows would describe these people as their family.
Well, I'm asking Katie for her response to that.
Thank you very much. And, you know, as much as I respected everybody else now for talking, I'd like just the floor for a couple of minutes. I knew before coming on here that this would be the direction that this narrative took. That's fine. I'm more than prepared for it. I was a contestant in 2010. I know that was a long time.
Sob story time.
Ago. That was 14 years ago, right? During our time, of which Liam and the band and Cher Lloyd and Rebecca Ferguson and so on and so forth were on the show, there was no duty of care upheld. The welfare officer was absolutely unqualified beyond measure, of which there is evidence of, and I will happily stand in front of a judge and show all.
Well, you're going to come to that. Look, we can't preempt what's going to happen in your.
Question?
Look, hang on one second, Katie. Hang on, Katie's. You're taking legal action.
This is crazy.
Against Psycho. That's fine. That will all play out now. There'll be a due process there about what went on. So let's not get into those specifics because they're not here to defend themselves.
But did she need help?
They will be.
Did she need help then?
Well, no. I'm going to ask you this, Katie.
Did she need help then?
I would ask Katie this. You know, you came, I think, 10th on X Factor, okay? And then you did some other reality show after that. So clearly it couldn't have been that awful. You wouldn't have done another reality show.
Right.
Well, it couldn't have been. Otherwise, why put yourself back in it? Well, hang on.
She's a freaking attention seeker. Come on, man. Like, that's obvious. She's an attention seeker. She's been irrelevant for years now. She's a narcissist, so she's got to draw attention to herself any way she can. So now she's suing actual people that are, you know, decent over some person not even related to her because reasons.
Point. But thirdly, what as a contestant do you expect from going on these shows? You know, very, very few people end up getting to the final stages or doing great out of them or becoming stars. It is a platform to have a go, and some do well and some do badly.
Can I answer, please?
Yeah.
And then I'll happily hand the mic over to whoever else wishes. My 6-year-old son is downstairs. and he takes priority, because I understand what you're all trying to say, and rightfully so, but let me answer, please. I was on the show in 2010. The welfare person, irrespective of any legal case, these are just facts. I'll be quick, Howie, don't worry. It was not qualified or in a position.
Well, they're not here to answer themselves, so I can't let you do that.
Well, they're not being named.
That's just facts.
There will only have been one, right?
Well, then okay, well, please let me just finish. And you know.
Well, why don't you answer my question? What did you expect by going on the, what did you expect by going on the show out of interest?
I never wanted to go on the show in the first place, to be very transparent.
Why did you do it?
You asked Simon Cowell why he purchased my record deal, and I'm all the rights to my.
I don't understand
who she is.
If you ask Simon, seeing you're good friends with him. Ask Simon.
Starts with an N, ends with a T. My child takes priority. Who cares about other people? Just let me talk.
Why don't you just tell me why you went on the show if you didn't want to do it?
Did you ask for help? She's just looking for a money play.
I really do think you should.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Called it.
I don't need to play into this. I'm here to speak about the tragic loss of our dear friend Liam. Talk to your producer about this before.
Stop the effing cap.
Hang on. I said I'd be more than happy to come and speak about the bigger industry issues. All right, not to be berated or
not even berated. I simply asked you why you went on the show in the first place.
And I told you I never wanted to go on the show. You asked Simon Cowell of why he put me on that show.
I don't understand why you would enter if you didn't want to do it.
Nobody is on any of these shows against their will. No one is on any of these shows against their will, including this show right now. So she likes camera time.
Can you just stop interjecting for 1 second?
Called it. I called it all, guys.
I gotta go do a reality show. I'm doing Canada's Got Talent.
Yeah, well, you make sure
Simon's
that you're
forcing me to go now.
All right, Howie, I appreciate you joining us. Howie, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Bye. And with all due respect, Piers. Okay, yeah, very good. So, Piers, with all due respect, you know, it's incredibly important to look at the bigger picture. You said to me that I couldn't respond about the welfare person that wasn't there and able to give their response. And you know, so why should it be different?
Here's my question about Liam, which is a tragedy. There's no, I didn't know him very well. I had a couple of Twitter spats with him, and that's about all I
Notice. Is it about Liam in this interview, or is it about this narcissist in a white shirt whose kid takes priority?
I met him, I think, twice. I liked him when I met him. He's very charming, very quick-witted, clearly very talented. But my overview of his whole situation is, if you look at all the information that's now come out, it appears that his solo career was struggling. He was let go by his record company quite recently. Other members of his personal team, his publicist and others, I believe, let him go as well. Clearly that was having a negative impact on him. But they're under no compulsion to have to keep giving contracts to people in the same way that my employers here aren't under that compulsion. He was in Argentina to go and see Nawalt play. He'd been with his girlfriend, who he seemed very happy with. She went back to America, and then something has happened that has led to this appalling incident, and that something involved drugs and some women, apparently, and a smashed-up hotel room, and then he's fallen, and we don't know whether that's deliberate or not. But my question for you, and I'll bring James in here, at what point does the duty of care from a show 15 years ago extend to what has actually happened here in Argentina? Because
Indeed.
I don't really see a direct link, other than Liam was finding it much harder to deal with a lack of success in his career than his bandmates who were much more successful, which is understandable.
Well,
we'll let James answer that.
Honestly, I'm sat here listening to how he's, you know, wax lyrical about the importance of mental health on a show that openly trashes Sam Smith, Madonna, Meghan Markle, with a person that has openly said that her mental health struggles were completely made up.
Are you talking about me?
I'm talking about you there. Yeah, of course. I'm not blaming you entirely for this. This is the whole entertainment
What are you saying?
industry.
I can't criticise people.
I'm saying...
Meghan Markle treating the royal family like
I am saying that we all...
She never cared about their mental health.
That we all
well, what's the difference?
Out of
interest. When Meghan Markle and Prince Harry trashed the royal family's mental health,
that's what I'm saying.
Do you care about that?
Yes, of course I do. I actually think we should care about all of those problems. We should all stop being so mean to each other.
When you criticise people... So hang on, Katie, let him speak, please. When you criticise people, James...
Let him speak as Piers continues to speak.
So, James, you should never be allowed to criticise people, James. Is that it? By your own rules?
I am saying that, yeah. I'm saying that we should all think about what we're saying.
You do all the time.
Yeah, I know. I'm guilty as well. I feel.
What are you, just a rank hypocrite?
I go on the radio and I make jokes, and I feel immensely responsible. I think we should all feel responsible. We should. Every single person that's ever posted. You know, this is what Liam actually sent to you, and I think it's important to read it because you would absolutely hate this debate.
Well, hang on, this is 2019.
Let me read it.
2019.
Let me read what he said. He said, Piers, you're only here.
Hang on, put it in context. Hang on, I wrote a column in which I criticised one of the Kardashians because they were trying to get on their high horse about something. I said, listen, let's be clear. You lot are only famous because Kim Kardashian had a sex tape. That remains true today, 5 years later.
I don't think the context is actually that important.
It had nothing to do with Liam at the time, but he decided to respond to me. And then you can read out what he's
I just think this stands true. Piers, you're only here because you talk shit about everyone and make controversial outbursts about people to get attention.
Okay, what's your point?
My point is that the whole industry is based on that. The whole industry is about reveling in people's demise.
You're missing the point.
So I wasn't allowed to have an opinion about the Kardashians.
Please let Katie speak.
Can I just say something before I go? Because my son's downstairs and he needs his dinner, and this is.
But if you didn't want to do the interview, you shouldn't have done it.
I said no initially, but.
Well, you're here now, aren't you? You managed to force yourself once again to do something you don't want to do. So why don't we just get through it together?
Maybe we can look back on my mental health struggles also from that show and how I have.
Oh my god, freaking disaster. Girls are freaking disaster. Alright, let's end the video there. My. Anyway, hit the like, hit the sub, hit all the notifications. Buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. You can see the list of all the people that have bought my books there. You can buy them at bit.ly/heliosbooks. If you'd like coaching services, I do offer them at my email. It's theheliosblog@gmail.com. Just message me and I will slot you right in. Thank you so much for listening, guys, especially if you listen to the end. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you next time.